So today we're going to do two different hairstyles using the same technique. This would be the topsy tail technique, but I'm just going to use my hands as opposed to the actual tool. So we're just going to start by taking a section of her hair and putting it into an elastic. I still like to use the clear elastics. I just kind of pull hairs out and make it a little bit loose. I don't really like slick back hairstyles. And then we're going to separate that ponytail and pull that ponytail kind of up and under. It's best to put the ponytail in loosely and not have it too tight to the head, just to make doing that pull through a lot easier. So that's what you're going to be left with. And then we're going to do the exact same thing again. Just grab a section. You can do thinner or thicker. I like to do a little bit thinner just to get a few more in. But you could do this 2 times down the head and it would still look nice. So again, I'm just going to put an elastic on there, pretty loose and not too close to the head. And then I'm going to separate all of that hair, including the hair that came through from the one above, right in the center. Sometimes I'll put my finger through or my pinky and just help guide it through. And then I just kind of tighten it up, and I like to pull pieces out. I really like to make these hairstyles look a little more messy. You could even grab like some fake flowers or some barrettes or clips and kind of put them in, and that would really dress it up for a wedding or a Christmas concert. So we're going to do this all the way down the head. And I did keep those front pieces of hair out by her face because my daughter has very, very thin hair. And as you can see kind of at the front, she still has baby hairs. So they don't really stay in place so nicely. So I'm just going to secure them back with an elastic kind of hidden underneath of the topsy tails. You could also fishtail. Do like a nice little loose fishtail or even a braid on each side and kind of pin those back in the topsy tails. That would look really cute too. But today we're just going to kind of slick it back a little bit. So we're just going to keep going on with that. And then once we get down closer to the end is when I'm going to kind of secure those front pieces. Again, just keeping it nice and loose. There's really no structure to this. You don't have to make it too fancy, and I'm not combing it or anything like that. It's a really good hairstyle to just kind of toss in, and it does not take long at all. So I'm going to grab those 2 front sections now, and then I'm just going to grab a clear elastic and kind of tie it right underneath that topsy tail there, just so it's kind of hidden, and the topsy tails as they go down are going to cover it. It's a nice way to just kind of get their hair out of the face. If her hair was a little bit thicker, I would just start the topsy tail up a little higher in her head and have it come back, but those front hairs just aren't quite long enough, so I would spray kind of those front pieces of her hair down with some hairspray, and just to kind of keep them back out of her face. So we'll just keep going down the head, and then once we get to the bottom, you have a few options there. You can keep going with the topsy tails, but that's more for our second video. So now that we're all done, I've gone through and pulled those topsy tails out a little bit to loosen them up, and I've got that loose hair at the end, so I'm just going to kind of put it right underneath her hair. For the sake of the video, I didn't bother bobby pinning it, but if I was going to kind of send her on her way, I would crisscross bobby pins and then one down the center to kind of lock them in place and kind of push all that, up underneath that hairstyle, just because her hair does not hold bobby pins very well. Please excuse her flyaways. We didn't have any hairspray handy, and we still have another hairstyle to go, so I didn't really want to spray it. But this is the finished look. And if you keep on watching, we've got another hairstyle just after this one with the same technique. So moving on to our second hairstyle, we are going to be using the exact same technique. So I'm going to start just by grabbing kind of the front section of her hair because her hair is thinner and she's got those shorter bits in front. You do not have to start with this. You can start just with the topsy tails. At the end of this video, I'm going to insert a photo of my hair that I've done, just a quick topsy tail kind of side braid on it. And I don't start kind of anchoring my hair. My hair is very thick, so I just start with the topsy tail. I really like this look because, well, it stays in really well. It also looks a lot like a fishtail braid, and I find a lot of people struggle with fishtail braids, myself included. They can be tricky. It's just kind of hard getting your hands in the right place, and her hair is very fine, so it slips out of your hands really easily. And this is also known as the Elsa braid in our house. So if your girls are into Frozen, or if you have a Frozen themed party coming up, this is definitely your go-to hairstyle, and it will last. These topsy tails, because they got the elastic securing them, they don't go anywhere. So this is really why I have a lifetime supply of these elastics around. I do not reuse them. I throw them out after one hairstyle. I just get them at the dollar store, and they make my hairstyles for my kids so much easier. So I'm going to continue this technique all the way down her head, but instead of kind of stopping, we're going to go all the way down into a bit of a side braid. She prefers side braids, but you could just keep it going down straight, or you might even be able to kind of break it off into two if the hair is long enough, but we're not quite there yet. Like I said, it's quite thin hair we work with here, so yeah, we'll just keep going with that, and then once we get to the braid part, I'll just kind of come back and explain that a little bit. So this is what we call the Elsa part of the braid. We do like to do it to the side, and you really just continue the exact same technique of pulling a thin piece of hair on each section of the ponytail around the front, but you're just kind of pulling it from the back to the front now. This is really what gives it the fishtail effect, and kind of the more you pull it out, and I'll even pull little pieces out, the looser you get it, the prettier it looks. If your little one is in a wedding, if you pull it out and put a little baby's breath kind of throughout the braid all the way down, that looks gorgeous. So we're just going to continue that all the way until we get to the bottom, and that's kind of the end of the hairstyle. 2 super easy hairstyles to do with the same technique, and they do last all day. If you are working with thinner hair or wispier hair at the front, I always suggest just a little bit of hairspray. You really don't need too much with kids, just to keep those hairs back, but the braid itself isn't going anywhere.
Watching. Click subscribe. Be sure to make someone smile today.